Okay. Let me kind of go through the last 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and say just this. I say this kind of selfishly, but there's nobody in the world that's been in education's corner more than I. Now, I'm not going to speak for Mitch and Tim, but I'm going to speak for myself here and primarily just tell you just this. Is just look at the state of the state last year. In the state of the state last year, I said, in the most dire circumstances, I said, I want us to do a 2% pay raise to the teachers. And just to tell like it is, and let's just don't tell anything but the truth, because I'm really hung up on that. The Senate was willing to go, and they were in. And Tim worked his people in the House as best he possibly could. And we got right to crunch time, and just the brass tacks facts are just this. Tim thought, he probably had 26 or maybe even as many as 30 possible votes. And for whatever the reason may be, and this is a problem that I have point blank, and that's just this. I don't like people being politicians all the time in a state that needs us to first and foremost be West Virginians. Now, at that time I was a Democrat and I went to my caucus, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, I'm just telling the truth. Now, at that time, if my caucus would have stepped up in unison like they try to tell you they are today, we would have had a 2% pay raise for the teachers last year. And they didn't. In fact, they dove in a ditch in a big way. And when word came back to the speaker that maybe they could only muster 3 or 4 votes in favor, then it all started to fall apart. Now, say what you want, but about half of the Republicans in the House stepped up. And 3 or 4 of them, maybe the Democrats stepped up, and that's no good. Now, what's really no good is just this. Now we start an out-and-out food fight, to where people are running up and down the streets screaming, I'm for the teachers, and why? I mean, my Lord of living, it's an election year. We're all for the teachers. There's no question that all of us are for the teachers, Democrats and Republicans together. I say to you, nobody has supported more than me. Nobody believes more than me. I've said it in my State of the State last year, I think education should be the centerpiece of all we do. Now, and I believe it. The only reason in the world that I proposed this year a 1-1-1-1-1 was simply because the message came down from the mountain in every way that why can't we do something for all people in self-government or state government? Came down from all of us here, came down from all of those on the other side of the aisle, and everybody should get something when things are better. And believe me, things are better, really better. Now, are we sure? Are we positive that things are going to be okay? Well, of course we're not, because we just barely got to the point in time where we got our head above water for the first time in 18 years. Now, credit needs to be due to a lot of people. These guys have only been in control here for probably 3 or 4 years now. And it takes time for the boat to turn. And I've only been here for 12 months. But we've seen a financial or economic miracle happen. Now, these guys should get credit. I think I should get some credit. We should give all the glory and the credit to the good Lord, because we have absolutely experienced a miracle. A miracle. $500 million deficit facing us and nowhere to turn. We passed a road bond referendum by 73% of the vote when everybody said it couldn't be done. We are seeing a miracle happen. 200 more jobs coming from Procter & Gamble. I just came from the health plan group in Wheeling, just came from there. They're moving back from St. Clairsville, Ohio. 500 people are coming back to downtown Wheeling. It's everywhere, and it's starting to happen. But we really don't know for sure yet, because there's indicators along the way, like our January numbers came in way below projections. All I'm saying, and that's why I went to the floor and said 1-1, 1-1-1. A guaranteed 5%. A guaranteed 5%. Something that's unprecedented, never done before. But I felt like that was all that I could do to get through. Because, see, I'm not the king. I'm really just your governor. And these are the legislative branches. And this is only one side of the legislative branches. Now, and so, at the end of the day, what I have to do is what is prudent. Now, let's switch channels a little bit and go the other way. The executive branch, every single time something came up in regard to PEIA, go 365. Once I really got a hold of it, threw it out. As far as the combining of the household incomes, once I got it, threw it out. Now, I went to Logan, and I went to Lewisburg, and I did what I did over and over and over. I went and I listened, and I interacted with the people. And you could see just as clearly as a bell, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, but when you're living on an income of 40 grand or less, and your health care costs start rising, even though you've got a tremendous health care plan. I mean, PEIA for the people that are on that plan versus the private sector, it is unbelievable how good it is. But, when you're trying to make it on $36,000 and your health care costs keep going up and up and up and up and up, it's tough. It's just plain tough. So what we decided, and we decided this yesterday, and we decided it really at Logan, you know, but I said, what if we were to stay or do a moratorium on PEIA for basically 17 months from now, you know, and that would give us time to really come up with a solution that would maybe lead to a permanent fix of the funding of PEIA. And I said to the people in the room, I said, does that solve the problem? And I said, now, and some nodded, some didn't say anything. I said, show of hands. Is there anyone here in this room that thinks that doesn't solve the problem? Every single person in the room said, done, solves the problem. Now, I personally believe, I absolutely believe that we should stay to 1-1, 1-1-1. Just think with me, just 1 second. What if we get, let's be bizarre. Let's say we went to 4 and 3 and 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, of which I want to do. These guys want to do it too. But these guys want to be smart, and I do too. And my responsibility is to be smart. What if we do that, and we turn right around, and things don't pan out the way we think they are going to? You see, I've said it a bunch of times. My trait that I believe is the best trait that I have in me. The best I have in me is the ability to doubt myself. The ability to really say, you think it's going to be okay, but you don't know it's going to be okay, Justice. And what you need to do is know it's going to be okay. Because you know what I'd be doing if I signed on to just that? I'd be giving the teachers the kiss of death. You know why? Here's what I would be doing. I would be dooming them to the lifestyle that they've lived forevermore, 50th. I'd be dooming them if things didn't go well to 50th. And that's all there is to it. There are kids that have to go out of state to get a job. It could be 50th. We've proven how to be 50th. We know how to be 50th. And all we got to do is be wrong about what we think is going to happen and do something that is frivolous in some ways, needed in every way. Understand what I'm saying? From the teacher standpoint, from our state government worker standpoint, we want to give a lot more. All I'm saying is, we got to know. You got to work with us a little bit. For God's sakes, living, we've seen a modern day miracle in 12 months. Now let's don't blow it. I can give you 2 books of green stamps today. And really and truly, you could be risking a great life for you and your family forevermore. Now, or I could say, let's be smart and let's do what the executive branch can do. And what I did yesterday, freeze PEIA. Freeze it. It's going to cost $29 million more money, and it's not one-time money, it's going to be base building money. It's not one-time money, so don't anybody hand me that bunch of junk. Now, I did that. That's all the executive branch can do. Now it's kind of left up to these guys in the legislative process, but I'm telling you, from my standpoint, I absolutely believe all in me, and from the Senate standpoint today, and the House is working. They're working hard, and this man right here is working really hard. Now, I add one more thing. This came so heartily from this gentleman on my left, our speaker. He said, what if we were to come up with a thing and said, we're going to freeze the 20 as the maximum exposure that our people have to deal with. And basically, we're going to work towards, if we have some extra dollars, we can reduce the 80, and we can, or increase the 80 rather, and we can maybe come up with to where there are years when we move to 82-18 or 85-15 or things like that make things even better. And I said, I'm all in. Sounds great. Mitch said, he's all in. Sounds great. Both of them said to me, if we can find a way to fix PEIA, we're all in. Well, we are all in. And we have fixed it. And we fixed it for 17 months. Now, what that'll do is just do this. It'll give us time. It'll give us time to see where we stand and to find a solution for a permanent fix. And the other flip side of it, it'll give you some certainty in your lives that you're not going to just keep getting tagged and tagged and tagged and tagged and tagged, and maybe you want to build a garage onto your house, and it gives you certainty. And the other thing I would tell you is this, and I'll promise you this, that I'm speaking for them and I'm speaking for myself with all in me. What do we do if the numbers do work? If the numbers do work, I give you my solemn promise, and they would do the same, that we'll double right back and do even more once we know the numbers really do work. And I believe with all in me, they're going to work. Now, these men have to go through their process. From the executive branch, I've done all the executive branch can do. And contributing $29 million back in is a big, big hit. And we're going to have to find it, and it's going to have to come from somewhere. Some other things we want to do are probably not going to be able to we're not going to be able to do to the magnitude that we wanted to do. I'd end by saying just this. Let me give you the easiest example to think of. There may be many people out there who would say, well, why put $20 million in tourism when you could just do the $20 million and put it in PEIA or whatever, or teacher's pay raise or whatever. Sounds pretty reasonable and pretty simple, doesn't it? But here's the real deal. First of all, if you don't promote your own state, there's an old saying, if you're a frog and you're not proud of your own pond, you're not much of a frog. That's one thing. But the more important thing is just this. For every dollar you put in tourism, for every dollar, we know it, it returns us automatically 8 times. Now, if I were sitting with you and I was or I was sitting in your chair and I was being smart, I would say, now hold on here, wait a minute. If they invest 20 and it brings them back 160, that's a net $140 million that we would have available to do a lot of stuff for you. If we don't do that, we don't have that money available, what are you going to do? So what I'm just saying to you is, you have to invest in our state to grow our state, to have more goodness for you. And that's what we want to do. Remember this. I know I'm speaking for them too. I know I'm speaking for myself, because when you're coaching 2 basketball teams, you're in a school 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. I know what the teachers go through. I know exactly where you're at. I know you're underpaid, underappreciated. You've become demotivated in a lot of ways because it's just natural. It's just natural for you to feel like, well, dag. I went to school for 4 years and I've got student debt and everything. Dag. I'm supposed to be a professional. Well, dag. Now, and after a while, I don't care how good you are, it wears on you. I get it. And I want nothing good but for education, because at the end of the day, and this is my last statement, you can have the best business climate, you can have the best site location, you can have the best everything, but if you don't have good schools for people to bring their employees to and everything, you can bark at the moon. It's doggone tough to convince business to come without great schools and great teachers and happy places, and really that is the biggest selling point that we could possibly have to drive our economy. So that's it.
Governor,
we'll take your questions as best we can.
Governor, you say you still support the 1% for teachers each in the next 5 years. However, yesterday the House Finance Committee under Chairman Nelson's leadership voted 2% the first year and then 1% each of the next 3 years. Are you saying you can't support that? You want to stick with the original 1%?
I think just this. I think the prudent thing and the smart money is to fix PEIA like we've done, and the smart money is to stay 1-1-1-1-1. But on the other hand, the but is these guys, they have to get through the legislative process. I think we're not being smart going 2-1-1-1, but at the same time, I'm not the king. I've done what I can do. I've told you what I think is smart, and we'll see.
Is the House reconsidering it in light of today's?
I don't know that.
I can answer that. I think we feel, as the governor said, that we need to be responsible, and I think as we've gone through the budget numbers, we believe we can sustain the 2-1-1-1, and that is the position of the House Finance Committee at this point, and that's going to come out to the floor of the House. I want to continue. We've had tremendous positive discussions with the governor, with the Senate about that, and as the old saying goes, the governor proposes and the legislature disposes. We're going to continue that process. We believe that we're not that far apart from each other, and we're going to continue to be able to show that we believe we can sustain that. And I think all of us are saying we only want to do what we can sustain. We happen to believe in the House we can sustain that, and we're going to continue to work toward that goal with the Senate and the government.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't the PEIA finance board have to approve these changes?
I think they do, but I feel certain that they will. You know, we've been in touch with them a great deal, and you're exactly right. The board has to approve.
One of the Democrats I spoke to about this plan said it's essentially putting a Band-Aid on where you need a tourniquet, that this is a political stunt to get your party through the election year and kind of push this decision down the road. Your response?
When really are we going to wake up and know that I'm not a politician, for the first thing? And the second thing is, when are we going to wake up and just tell the blooming truth? I mean, the truth is just this. You know, a Band-Aid, a $29 million Band-Aid is an expensive Band-Aid. You know, and the other thing is, and it's going into the base, and it's base building, and it's an expensive Band-Aid for a long time to come. And the other flip side of it is this. If somebody out there has got an instantaneous non-Band-Aid, if you want to call it that, I'm calling it a $29 million Band-Aid because of this, and that's the most ridiculous comment in the world. But if somebody out there has got an instantaneous fix, permanent fix to PEIA, tell me what it is, and then tell me how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and then the next question is, well, can the state do that? And the answer is, no way. No way in the world can we do that today. We've got to find a source. You know, and that could be the roads, it could be severance, it could be massive, it could be China, it could be all kinds of economic gains, it could be growth of West Virginia. We've got to find a way of sustainability and a longevity for PEIA, and to tell you the honest truth, we need some time. We need some time. Band-Aid, give me a break. Yes,
So
ma'am.
in about 20 seconds, what would you say to teachers who are considering striking because they are not happy, because they don't see the state believing in them? What do you say to them?
I'd say that they have every right to do whatever they choose to do, first and foremost. And secondly, I think it is preposterous to say the state doesn't believe in them, especially if they're referring to the governor, because the governor believed, crying out loud, I've explained it 14 times, the governor believes in them more than anything, you know. I think it's a crying shame to do something that could hurt our children, and at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here and what, you know, I mean, I always say, judge me by my deeds. You know, when I found out about the Go 365, when I found out about the combining of the incomes, when I found out that really and truly what we need to do is freeze PEI for a while, done. And the 11111 to me shows, I mean, we could go to, if we had the money, we could go to 3 today, and which is better, a guaranteed 11111 or 3? You know, well, to me, you're better with the 11111 from the standpoint of it gives you surety of 5 versus whatever short term, and the other flip side of it is it gives us time to make your lives even better.
Follow up, what do you say to teachers and then that say you guys don't tax enough the other big industries coming into the state, like oil and gas, for example? What do you say to them? A lot of them say you can
Let's
tax
start that
that.
one more time.
What do you say to teachers who say that you could tax other industries coming into the state, like oil and gas, and use that money to help pay for teachers? Many parents or teachers are asking about that on my Facebook.
Okay, now let's be honest again. Last year, I tried to put in a tiering of natural gas and severance tax on coal, and we didn't get it done. Is there anybody in this room that could say anything other than, daggone, that was a heck of an idea, and man, if we'd have got that done, look where we've been today. I mean, because What we were basically doing is saying, if you're in the coal mining industry or the gas and prices get so bad that you're really hurting, we want to help you. But if things are really good, we think you ought to be able to pay a few pennies more. You know how much more money that would have brought in today? It would have brought in well in excess of $100 million of more money today, maybe even 200. If we had just got it done, we didn't get it done, you know. And so what I'm saying to you is, it's doggone tough to beat on the guy that has come up with nothing but the good ideas. It's doggone tough to beat on him. Now here's the problem. You have politicians that are running out there today and saying, well, why don't we just tax the gas companies another 2.5%? You'll never get it passed. All it is hoopla for somebody else to get reelected. You'll never get it passed. The gas companies today in this state are doing us a great service, and really and truly, if we could figure a way to get through this co-tenancy and joint development, they may really be all in for a tiering of the severance tax that would bring us more dollars. And not only would it bring us more dollars, it would bring us more gas, and from more gas, it would bring us more severance. Now today, you got a different dynamic. Then, a year ago, you had prices relatively low, and the companies were willing to be on board because prices were a little low. Now the prices are way high, and you're basically just going to go right in and say, y'all need to pay more. And they're going to say, oh no, we don't want to pay more. And then before you know it, these guys are going to have an impossible time getting it through. So all you've got happening is you've got some politician grandstanding so that he can gain some extra votes. Do I believe in a tiering on natural gas and coal? Absolutely, I believe in it wholeheartedly. Because I don't think that when we make obscene profits from the coal or the gas, I don't think we in West Virginia need to end up being a third world country and be left holding the bag. But at the same time, I believe that when those companies, when things get really tough, we need to be helping them. We need to be helping them keep our miners and all the people that are working in the gas industry working. Now that's what I thought before, and I still think the same thing. And we blew it. We blew it not getting it done. You know, and that's my opinion. But the whole thing about it is today, the gas people need us on co-tenancy and joint development. They need us on that, and we need to solve that riddle. And then I think what would happen is they would be perfectly willing to tier their severance and bring more income into us. Yes, sir.
You said 29 million, but I thought I heard that it might just be 22 million because you've got some kind of set aside just in case. Could you maybe just speak a little bit more about the cost?
We put into our proposed budget $6.5 million. It's a total cost of $29 million. We've already put in 6.5, and this is an additional 22.5.
Do you have a preference for where that 22.5 would come from? I know you talked about not wanting to take too much towards them, but is there any other?
I mean, you're going to have to pound sand in a lot of different areas to pull that off, and hopefully you're going to be able to get a little bit here and a little bit there and everything else. But now just think, you know, if we go to a 2, that's going to add another 25 million or 23 million to the mix too. You know, so all of a sudden now you're looking for 50 million. You know, and it seems so innocent, but now you're looking for 50 million. At that point in time, now you're going to be doing stuff like, well, maybe you may have to do something like, you know, say, well, we're going to pull this thing off the table about letting our kids go to tech school for free. You know, we may have to pull off something else that's really going to hurt our state and slow us down. You know, and then at the end of the day, you know, if you slow us down, how are you going to pay for it in the out years? You know, and you know, it just could make things more tight.
Governor, on an unrelated topic, there's been some confusion on the memorandum that went out to department heads. They removed your name and from letterhead and websites. Can you explain what that was all about?
I can't, but I can get somebody, and Mike, are you around, or did you run off, or Butch? I can tell you the 80,000 foot is, some people were taking claim to stuff that was going on Facebook and places, and tell them, Mike, you explain. I mean, they came to me and said they want to take my name off of it, and I said, well, you fine, it's fine with me, but yeah, go, please tell me.
It was basically that certain actions, that the name was removed so that there wouldn't be confusion about what was actually coming from the governor and what was coming from an agency. It's as simple as that.
That's the thing. I mean, people are, this Facebook thing has become a really powerful tool and everything, and people were just running with stuff that was not true and posting stuff, you know, that I saw 4 aliens in the middle of the river, and you know, and it's just one thing after another. It's just the way we've got to adjust this day and time to life. Now there was rumors circulating around that you know, God forbid that I was dying or that I was resigning or whatever, and then I've heard everything in the world, but you're going to have to live with me a long time, good Lord willing.
Well, Governor, to that end, the other thing that kind of erupted on social media was criticism of you using the phrase "a Chinaman's chance." You regret using those words the other night?
I've not even heard anything about it. I mean, you know, I use a lot of silly phrases and stuff like that, you know, but, you know, if that offended somebody, then I'm sorry. You know, I didn't even think about it. Have you guys got anything? Good.
Carmen, do you support the 2% or go back to the 1%?
Well, I think it's just what the governor said and articulated it very well. The reason that we you know, take a fiscally conservative approach moving forward. We'll certainly evaluate all the proposals that the House brings forth, but you know, I think it's important for us to basically recognize this moment in time that we're at. When this point last year, we were facing all these deficits, and now here we are, you know, with a little bit of extra money and providing it to the teachers. The governor showed great leadership on this. The speaker over the years has been tremendous, and so I think this is a cause really for an opportunity to recognize the advances that have been made, and as we go forward, we plan to do even more.
I would just say that we're talking about, as we said, this is the wonderful thing about 3 buses. And the House that we represent, the Senate, the governor, we don't always come out day one on the same page of things. What our goal is to work together over the next 30 days to make sure that we do what we are supposed to do, which is to discuss these issues, bring them out to the House floor, out in committees, out in the Senate. We may be in conference on this. I don't know what the end result will be. But I'm saying that to us in the House, we see a way that we can move forward with a 2, and then 1% over the following 2 years. That's the will that I sense in the House, and I think that's what's going to, and certainly what's coming out of the Finance Committee. It's what I believe will come out of the House as our position in the House. But there's still a long way to go there. We've got to get the Senate and the House on the same page and bring something to the governor's desk. And I think that's what we're spending a great deal of time working on. But let me just say this. I think we spend, anyone that's out there that pretends that the teachers and our state employees have not gotten the attention of our legislature and our governor are just wrong. Because we have spent an enormous amount of time talking through the things that are important to our teachers and our state employees. As the governor mentioned, we were talking with the PEIA director about the issues that were brought to us, and we said, well, could we do this or could we do that? And it just became very evident that there are things we may be able to do to make that process more fair, but you can't get them done overnight. And that's why I'm very pleased that the governor and the legislature agreed that it was better for us to stop those changes from taking place this year, allow the PEIA board to act on that, which I believe as well as the governor that they will act on that. I haven't talked to them, but when you have the legislature and the governor saying this is the direction we'd like to see. I hope that would carry some weight with the board. And then we go to work and make sure that we put in place a plan in the next fall, the following year, that does do that in a fair way, or does move forward in a fair way. Whether that is family income or not family income is something I think needs to be addressed. How we go about determining those premiums and co-pays, something needs to be addressed, but we should put all that on the table and work very hard over the next year, or 16 months, as the governor says, to try to do that. But as far as the pay raise, I believe that the House will have a different end product than the Senate does, but that's what this legislative process is for, and we'll work through that.
Last thing I'd say, this is a happy day.
Yes.
This is a happy day for everybody. All state government workers need to breathe easy and say, okay, this is a happy day. We feel good. We're going to contribute another $29 million, and we're going to stay the moratorium on PEIA. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on a solution to the problem in the long term. So this is a happy day, and we'll see what comes out of the legislative bodies. You've heard my recommendation, but remember just this. Remember where we were and know where we are, and know that there's a lot of smiles on a lot of faces, but we still got a lot of challenges in front of us, and we're going to continue to work that way. And I will assure you, from my standpoint, until you know where freeze is over, at any opportunity that we have in a prudent manner to help our educators, that is my number one thing that I am absolutely for. So, nevertheless, thank y'all so much for coming.
Good job.
Thank you.